Good morning. Sorry, I'm shaking my screen a little. I realized I was a bit off center. Good morning, good morning. How is everyone doing today? Just wait until I see a comment so I know it's working. So, welcome to Root Shoots and Coffee, of course. My name is Haley, for those of you who don't know. This show started about over a year ago now, I guess. Getting close to a year and a half. And it started based on a need of our community wanting just a simple forum for question and answer about all things growing. And that is where we're at. So last week, all right, I still don't see comments. You guys comment in so I know you're here. There you are. Good morning. Good morning, Sue, and good morning, Suzanne. I know we got snow. We've been talking about it all morning here. It's like, it is just so beautiful out. All I want to do is go into the woods and walk around. I don't care that it's 0 degrees. I want to do it. The sun is out. The snow is just fluffy. It's gorgeous. Okay, so last week, I hope all of you had the chance to tune in. If not, had the chance to watch it back. But Luke joined us last week, which was super fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that. He and I had great conversation about seed starting and when that looked for both of us. And what my biggest takeaway from it was, and always is when Luke and I get together, is that it's different for everyone, right? Things work different for each of us, depending on zone, depending on time, as in like our personal time, what we have to devote to seed starting and getting our gardens going. It differs on, like, for instance, a big difference that came up was how my house allows me to grow things versus how his setup allows him to grow things. You know, I'm in a really dry house, a super old farmhouse, very drafty. It's a problem for another day, but it is. And so I have to grow differently, and I don't battle so much with humidity and problems that come from humidity where he does, therefore he grows things differently or uses different tools. And so that was a huge takeaway for me, that give yourself some grace, because things are gonna be different for you. You're supposed to hear other people and be able to adapt it to your situation. That's one of the coolest things about gardening and what we do, is that it's like being quick on your feet. Like, you can change how you do things based on where you're at. So I want to know, the reason I decided to do a follow-up is because there were a lot of questions coming through that Luke and I just obviously, lost in conversation, did not have a chance to hit. And I want to make sure you guys felt heard and make sure all of your questions got answered. I see something about home roasting your own coffee. AZ, you could send some to me and I would love to try it if you wanted to, you know? Okay, I'm going to get on here and say hello to everyone. So for now, get in here. I want to know what your biggest takeaway from last week was. Either something you learned or something new you're going to try based on something we said, as well as this is going to be our follow-up. So any questions that did not get answered, any questions that have arisen since then, I want to know them. Let's see them. So many of you here today already. Lost Light, Shelby Weaver. Hey, Randy. Good morning, Patty. Ooh, Tanya from Detroit Metro Airport. Do you work there or are you traveling? Good morning, Jenny. How's it going? Wisconsin, Erica. Hello, SR. I'm so glad you finally caught me live. That's wonderful. I'm glad you're here, Anaheim. This is really my favorite part, is that you guys are from all over the place. And I have a love-hate relationship with technology, but this is the love aspect of it, that we can reach so many people so far. And it's just, so cool. So cool. Florida, Jennifer in Long Island. Hello, Dustin. Is it the right time of year to clone apple trees? Okay, I actually don't know the exact answer to this. I could look into it for you. But based on the conversation Luke and I had last week about fruiting trees in general is that they're obviously in their most dormant stage right now. Sorry, I'm thinking about it. So we're going to look it up anyways. But I'm thinking because we're making a cut, depends. If you're doing like air grafting, I'm thinking no, because your plants are dormant, right? Though if you're like taking cuttings and working them, bringing them into the warmth so they can wake up and start to produce roots, then I would think that would be okay. As well as the fact that the injury to the tree will heal in this time too. Tell me what way you're going to do it. And then we're going to, based on all the info we know, we're going to figure out if this is the right time to do it. Oh, hello. How long does it take for a broccoli plant to make florets? So Shirley, it depends. Broccoli is a hard one. Luke and I talked about that last week too. He has major trouble with broccoli. I've gotten better. I can grow it. I've gotten there. Time of the year matters, right? Broccoli is one of like the most finicky brassica that's like, even if you look at it funny, I'm going to seed, you know? And so time of year is going to be really important. If you're doing like floret, sprouting broccoli, it's obviously the date on the back of your packet is what you're looking at. So whether it's like a 70-day, a 50-day variety, that's when you're supposed to expect your head or floret based on whatever variety you're choosing. But your environment plays a huge role because broccoli is so finicky. So make sure it's staying cool. I didn't catch where you are. So yes, I know it is 0 degrees and snowing here, but it might not be where you are. Make sure it stays cool. Make sure the pest damage isn't too high because it'll get sassy about that. Tell me a little more about how you're growing it. Yeah, questions coming in all caps makes it way easier. That way I can catch it much quicker. Yes, AZ 227 Huron. That's where I'm at. Just put my name on it so they don't steal it from me on the days I'm not here. And what we'll do is I'll save it for when I have Luke back. And so Luke and we'll do a taste test comparison. We would love that. Thank you. Okay, Jenna, you asked about what native plants we sell. We don't sell plants here, unfortunately, yet. A lot of you know that we have a big dream of a greenhouse where native plants will be a very big thing. But that stuff takes time because there is a lot that tries to jump in your way. But we do have seeds. So for Michigan, some native plants, so we have milkweed, which is a native and great pollinator. Just trying to glance at our seed wall, which is too far for me to see without my glasses on. Let me think on that. They'll pop to me. I'll just say them as I go. CA in the house. Just kidding. I should not have done that. That's embarrassing. Anyways, struggling to get beets to grow. Lots of green tops, but poor roots. Very interesting. How's your soil? I would consider your soil fertility. Beets, because I wouldn't even think like your texture. Beets are known and used for breaking the ground. So like if you have a spot that's very clay-y, beets, they may not grow to their true potential, but they are pretty resilient in bulbing up, and that's what people use to help break the ground up. So I would be more apt to look at fertility. They might very well be hungry. How should I incorporate goat manure into my garden? I just second guessed myself. Goat manure is hot, right? Because alpaca is cold and rabbit is cold, and I think that's it. So goat manure would need to be composted. We're going to look this up at the same time. Would need to be composted, just like any other mammal manure you're going to use on your garden, other than alpaca and rabbit. Goat manure. Cold or hot? I don't have anyone to bounce that off, so I'm going to double check. So goat manure. Oh, it is considered cool. I knew there was a reason I second guessed myself. This is just, of course, the first answer on Google that popped up. So do a little more research. It does say cool. Much drier, dropping in the ground. So much like rabbits poop are a bit larger. Okay, so if it is cool, do a little more research. If it's cool, you can incorporate right onto your soil. Or if you are mixing soil for new beds, you can mix it right in. You can do it more under the surface. There's a lot of different options. But if it's cool, get right on it. Drop it in. Only when they are soft and young. Yeah, Jenny, that's a really good point. I'm guessing it's off a conversation from earlier, but she's talking about the different parts of a broccoli plant that you can eat. It's really dry here because it's so cold, so sorry about the water. So broccoli plants, along with there's root vegetables that do it, other brassicas, you can eat your seed pods. If you've not had broccoli seed pods, if you have not had radish seed pods, as they come up, you're missing out because they are delicious. So make sure if your plant goes to seed, you don't get the root you wanted or what have you, you don't get the head you wanted, don't think your plant's gone. Utilize it. Of course, you got to do it before they get hard and woody, but definitely delicious. Sowing carrots in the winter will make them sweeter. I haven't heard it on sowing your carrot seeds in the winter. I've heard it on letting them root during the cold. Someone else chime in on that. Thank you, Wicked Awesome. Goat manure is cold. I knew you guys had my back. Yeah, so definitely get that goat manure on right away. Okay, let's talk about old wood or newer growth. Lime trees, it depends on where you are. You want to do your pruning in the most dormant stage because you have a lime tree. I'm thinking you're south. So we may need to look into that one a little more just because I haven't done a lot of citrus. I don't want to lead you astray. Okay, I want to know I haven't seen much about your takeaways from our seed starting, guys. You gotta work with me. I had a plan. Why do carrots hate me? I don't know, John. They hate me too. So you're not alone, at least, right? Also, why does my broccoli that is beautiful and huge not have any broccoli in them? Sometimes we were talking about this earlier, but sometimes your broccoli won't send up its main stalk or florets based on food too. It may be a little too nitrogen rich, which puts off the foliage more than the fruit itself. Vegetable, you know what I mean. So I would consider what your fertility of your soil looks like. This is obviously a big thing. I know we either just republished it or something, but I know he had a good broccoli video and blog that just resurfaced, at least, if not just came out. AZ, I'm like a medium, but in reality, I'm not wildly picky. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of medium-ish. Sifting seed starting mix was a new concept. Good. I'm actually super glad that's one that you picked up. Even if you're just humoring me, North Star, I appreciate it. Seed sifting or seed starting, so your starting mix and sifting that is something that I begrudgingly took on because I am a person of lots of hats, right? I don't do well in one place very long. I like to be doing all sorts of things all the time, and it's like one of my best flaws. And so I have 3 different jobs that I love. I teach preschool. I work here. I teach swim lessons. And I own and started my own farm. So 4. I have 4 different jobs. And So for me, time is like a really big thing. Sifting my soil just sounded like another dumb step. And I was also under the impression that putting your plants through a little bit of stress makes them stronger, and that does have a good point to it. But it's got lines, and this is one of them. You don't want huge chunks in your seed starting mix. Now, if you're working with a big amount of medium, so if you're working in bigger containers, which honestly I don't necessarily suggest for seed starting for a multitude of reasons, it's less of a problem, right? So if I have like I probably, if I was in a hurry, I wouldn't mind for in like a 50 plug tray. That's about, we're hitting the cusp of maybe there's enough medium, it's not going to be the biggest bother. But if your baby fragile roots are running into walls, meaning big chunks of wood chips or big chunks of perlite even, it can block them from expanding the way they're supposed to, or growing the way they're supposed to. So yes, I do think putting stressors on our plants in an appropriate fashion is very helpful and will ultimately give us a much stronger garden. I think sifting with smaller growing medium sizes is the way to go. Is definitely the way to go. Because it just makes it that much easier in your plant, especially with the guys, I'm at a loss for words today. Just they're not following me. What is soil blocking? Oh, that was terrible. Especially with soil blocking. Now that I'm starting with like 1/4-inch soil blocks, I have no room for anything big. All that space needs to work with my roots. And so sifting your soil, even try it on a couple trays. Do an experiment. I encourage you to do an experiment, take notes, and figure out if it's something that makes a difference for you. So if you have 2 72 plug trays, if you have, I don't even care what you're starting it in, you just have a tray, you put some soil in your, like a flat open end tray, do 2 of them. Split your seeds, do half in the one, half in the other, sift one, don't sift the other, and see the difference. And I want you to, when you're going to pot up, work some of that soil off and take good notice of your roots. I would think that you're going to see one a little stronger than the other. And for the most part, I'm going to say it's the one that's sifted because that's what I saw. But I'd be interested to know your results. So do that. Come back to me. I want to know. I did quick see that someone's having trouble. Make sure your questions are in all caps. Really does make it easy. Someone was having trouble with an allium. Chives, I think it was. Have you winter sown them? Onions like it a little chilly, like most of mine I winter sow, just because it's easy. It's like the easiest seed starting method ever. And that's a good one that you can do in clusters. So separating your seedlings wouldn't be a big task. If you don't have that, you can, I don't know, I'd be curious if any of you remember this. So I did a stratification test last year, cold stratifying. Cold stratifying is used for seeds that need basically a shock of cold for a certain period of time to wake them up and to get them into a germination mode. So it's suggested most often to put them in the fridge for a couple weeks, but I'm not that prepared. I'm not that scheduled, in that I always miss that window. So I did a germination or a stratification test last year where I put them in my freezer for under a week. I think it was like 4 days. And I did it for lavender, which is a struggle to germinate often. And I had almost like 90% germination. It was, after 4 days, that's pretty darn good. So I always suggest, I don't even use a fridge anymore. Freezer it is. I put them in, like if you have those photo boxes for seed storage, a lot of you have seen. I used one of the photo containers. You could do a Ziploc bag, put them in something so they don't get wet. But that's a really good options. So stratify your alliums. Chives, onions, leeks, those all need good stratification. lavender. That's all that's coming to me right now that really needs a stratification. So those are good ones to do. I want to go back up to where people... Okay. Root crops like a lot of potassium and phosphorus. Yes, they do. I like this. Luke had so much fun last week. I thought he was surprised. What do you mean you think he was surprised? Luke and I always have a good time. It was another reason we started the show, is because if you don't know what's on that man's plate, if you can't even imagine, you can't imagine it. He has so much. This store, his family owns and operates 2 other small businesses downtown Port Huron, where we bought a new property to move our store to, giving us more space, being able to expand, so adding onto the plate. We have the warehouse that, he works in and with. That's where we do like all of our fertilized mixing. He is a staple in his community, obviously his family home. I mean, that man is like circus juggler. He's got so much and he handles it so well. So it's not as often as I would love for us to be able to do this together, because he's got a ton to do. But I'm so glad he joined us last week, because that was a dang blast. And I know he had fun because we shut the camera off and laughed again for another 10 minutes. Actually, he was really geeking out about bell curves. So he gave you the little bit of how excited he is about bell curves, and he gave me all of it. And it was a blessing. It's fine. So we're going to, now that summer's coming around, we'll probably get him on here a lot more, but I'm so glad you guys loved it. God, soiled again. I feel like that was a bad pun line, and I want to know what it, good, bad. I want to know what that was too. Okay. Why can't I get chives? Oh, I'm glad we hit that. So, Lila said, I want to know if you're going to try the winter sowing. This is a good question. Any seeds we should soak before planting? I never have, and I probably never will. I don't do that. I don't do the paper towel method. I don't do any of that. That's not meaning I shouldn't. That's just part of that. You pick what you're going to do. And it's not on my radar. In reality, anything I have grown, whether it's from our shelf, from other growers, rare is it that I get such low germination that I think to myself, ooh, I should have done it in a towel. I should have soaked these seeds. It would make that big of a difference. That would make me change my operation. Some people are passionate about soaking their seeds or using the paper towel method, and it works so well for them. So if you in this chat are this is a seed I must soak, please put it in, because maybe that would help JMD to try that one if he's having trouble with it. But for me, I don't think Luke really soaks seeds. Not that you shouldn't, again, it's just a preference thing. All right, let's see. If you are not sure when to start something from seed, would it be good practice to take the days to maturity and count backward from when you would like to harvest the crop? Heather, I'm so glad you phrased it that way, that, you attempted to figure it out instead of just blindly asking. That was cool. Okay. When to figure out when to plant. Please watch last week if you haven't, because we did talk about this a little more in depth, and I'm probably going to hit it right now. I'm going to give you the easy brief. Back of your packet, what do I got? Carnations. So, just because this happened to be sitting on the desk. Days to maturity, 130 to 140. Whew, tough. That's a long one. And I know that. All right, let's try this again. I don't want to work that hard. Pumpkin. 110. It's not much better. Okay, so 110 days is my days to maturity. The first thing you're going to want to do is figure out how many days are in your growing period. Your natural growing period in your zone. So how to figure that out is you're going to count the days between your average last frost date and your average first frost date. Both can be found on the Farmer's Almanac. That's my favorite source to get it from. You go in, you put your zip code, it'll give you both dates. That's what you're going to use. I want to know the days in between that. So for instance, and I'm not going to guess the days. My average last frost is May 11th-ish. It's like Mother's Day, so mid-May. My average first frost typically is in October, like mid-October. So mid-May to June, July, August, September, October, 5 times 3. I probably got 150-ish days, right? As in 5 months times 30-ish days is how we did that. And don't laugh at me if that's really wrong. So technically I could direct seed this, right? But they're pumpkins, and if I want my pumpkins for Halloween, and I personally like to decorate as soon as, harvest hits the air. You know what that means. I'm going to start them a little earlier. So typically I start my pumpkins about 4 weeks prior to my last frost date, so that way they have a good jump and are ready to get in the ground. So I hope that makes sense, and if it doesn't, I want you to ask me again. So the most important is basically knowing how many days you have in between, right? So I always soak pepper seeds. Okay, great. So they always soak pepper seeds, so maybe that's one you want to try. Are you having trouble with pepper seeds? That may be one you want to try soaking. Experiment, guys. It's the best way to figure it out. Hey, just wanted. John, you are awesome. Thank you, John Marsh, Kin Farm. So wonderful. It says Bubba 10. So is your name Bubba, and are you 10 years old? Because if so, that's awesome. I'm glad you're here. So thank you. Thank you. No need to sow carrot seeds. They sprout really easily as long as you keep the soil moist. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I don't know if Luke has a video on this. So I'm going to send you to where I know there's a video. Luke, don't get mad at me. No, okay. If you're trying to germinate your carrot seeds outside, this is what I've figured out kind of works for me. Carrots are a struggle for me. They are on my hard list. Just because I don't always get the best germ, and it's my practice. So I'm working on figuring out what works for me in my area. To Roots and Refuge, Jess and Jeremiah. Jess has a video from, it's got to be 3 years ago now because they're in South Carolina now. I'm thinking 3 years ago. If you go onto Roots and Refuge YouTube page and put in carrot sowing or carrot starting or something like that, it'll pop up. They use a board over them. So they sow their seeds, light dusting, moisture, of course, and then they put a board over their area that they planted the seeds in, and they leave that board there until they see the germination. Oh, perfect. Wicked Awesome Gardening. That's where I want y'all to go. Go check out Wicked. They have their YouTube channel, so if you're not following Wicked Awesome Gardening, you should be. They have a video for the board over the carrot seeds as well. So that's a great resource. Thank you for bringing that up. That's wonderful. And you leave it on until you see the germination. And that just helps with seed to soil to moisture contact. Because your soil could be moist, but it's so light and fluffy, it might not be touching your seeds enough to enact germination. So it kind of just, it doesn't compact it, it just pushes it all together, gives it a big hug, and makes it work a little better. That's what I suggest you go try for your carrots. Can it be planted in the spring? I'm in Michigan. Okay, Diane. So I've seen a few people try this and have success with it. I have not tried it, but I will give it to you because I think you are in for a good experiment. Take your garlic and you can either put it in the fridge. Yeah, put it in the fridge. That's what I'm suggesting. So intact. Put your whole thing and leave them in the fridge until spring comes. We're basically cold stratifying it, right? I don't think I want it to go in the freezer because I don't want it to break up the molecular integrity of your cloves. Frozen garlic can like kind of get mushy, so I don't want you to go through that. Ooh, sorry, I hit the microphone. I would say the fridge, and I would get it out probably 6-ish weeks prior to your last frost. So if you're anywhere near me, you're looking at like early April, and I'd get it in the ground. So as soon as you have a warm day, work that soil so that way you're able to get it in. Yeah, early April. Try it, write it all down, take all the notes, and come back to us for your, ooh, wicked awesome. You are wicked awesome. Luke has a video on planting spring garlic. Check it out. You'll have to forgive me. He has so many videos, but there's also like a ton of video topics we've talked about, and so sometimes I'm like, have we just chatted about this or has it become reality yet? So I don't always know. 2x4 with your carrot seeds. Works great. Same concept, skinnier rows. That's awesome. We're going to finish up here shortly. So if you have seed starting questions, I want them in because we're probably going to be taking a break on seed starting as you guys are developing your plans and everything. This is kind of your time. This is not necessarily the time for all of you to put seeds to soil. Figure that time out for yourself. It is for me because I run a farm. And therefore, my things need to get in the ground under caterpillar tunnels, basically a frost tunnel. And that may not be you. So just because everyone on Instagram right now is starting seeds, that doesn't mean you need to. Hold back. If you need to, start a tiny micro variety because I get it. I get the need to. That's why I became a farmer. And I'm like, I can start them whenever I want. We have like the Tom Thumb peas. Start some of those and put them on your counter. I mean, that would be wonderful to get your hands in the dirt, but not start so early that you damage the outcome of your garden. Alrighty. Thank you so much for putting that in, North Star. North Star, again, as always, thank you. I really appreciate you being here. North Star is always here to plug everything I say, to make sure that you guys have the information at your fingertips for different links or what have you. Plugging in a lot of our viewers who suggest that they have videos. I mean, you're just wonderful, and I hope you know how appreciated you are. Okay, need some tips on growing some lavender. Even when I cold stratify, how long are you cold stratifying or using the fridge? I suggest doing the freezer method. 4 days in the freezer and make sure they stay moist. I don't do any type of humidity dome in a very dry house. I don't do a humidity dome for my lavender. I just don't need it. Make sure there's always moisture to soil to seed contact. Don't let them dry out because they will get very sassy. So and also you can winter sow your lavender. That's a great option. Any of these ones I've talked about that need cold stratification, we have it natural outside right now. So get your milk jugs, cut them in half, right? So milk jug, cut it in half, horizontal. And so a cross section, open it up, put your soil in, get your seeds in. I take the lid off mine. Actually, I guess I do it when it gets a little warmer. Leave your lid on first, close it up, tape it down, don't forget to label it, and put it outside. So that's going to cold stratify them and let them start when they know naturally to start. As it gets a little warmer, you take the cap off to get in some ventilation. And yeah, that would be a great way to try them. So if you're struggling getting your lavender to go, no, I use my sunlight. Yeah, if you're struggling getting your lavender to go, I suggest trying winter sowing. What seeds do best winter started? I'm in Ohio. So Linda, are you asking for like what works outside? Did you know that you can sow poppy seeds right over the snow, and they say that's like one of the best ways to do it? I'm trying it this year. I won't do it yet. I wanted to do it last year, but I waited too long, and then we didn't get snow again, and I was so sad. Did you say to cold stratify onion seeds? Alliums, so the cool thing about alliums is they can get started in the winter, right? So late winter, early spring is a great time to toss your onion seeds out. Your chives, your leeks, those are all alliums. And that gives them a good start. So yes, you can do that. Cool. I thank you, Wicked Awesome Gardening. So I told you how I started my lavender. Yes, I do a light. I didn't say I had my grow light on them. Wicked Awesome Gardening, the way they do it is they need sunlight. Agree. I use my grow lights for that. She says don't even cover them with soil. Great. Just lay them on top of the soil. Keep a humidity dome on until germination and keep them moist. That's wonderful. That's how a humidity dome should be used until germination. If that is what works for her, so glad. I'm so glad that works for you. Okay, apparently Wicked Awesome Gardening has all the videos. Go check them out. Yeah, oh, Jenny, thank you. That was a point I missed in my brief description of winter sowing, which we do have a lot of videos on. Don't forget to poke holes, drainage holes in your jugs. You need them. Make sure you're tagging us in your winter sowing jugs. We want to see them. The cucumber, a lot of vines, no cucumber. My melon grew, but it got cold before maturity. So make sure you're looking at I don't know if you were here, 10-ish minutes ago when I was talking about finding how many days you have to grow in your natural growing area, right? So without any season extensions, without anything, you take your average last frost date, average first frost date, find the days in between, and if your variety needs, say, like this pumpkin needed 110 days, if your variety needs close to your growing time frame or more than it, you need to be starting that many weeks prior to the end of prior to your last frost date before putting them out. So that way they have the time needed to get going. Oh, cool, Linda. If you try it, please tag us in it all. I do see the cucumber one too. If you have all vine, no fruit, you have probably just a little too much nitrogen and not enough of everything else. So I would look at the fertility of your soil. Remember, soil testing is really important, guys. If you have not done soil test in your raised beds, in the ground, wherever you are growing, if you haven't done a soil test, how are you going to know what your plants need? Yes, we can see it on basically what our plant is doing. That's if you know the signs too, right? So if I have very intense foliage growth, I know that my nitrogen is either it's good or too high. If it's too much foliage growth and I'm not getting the fruit. So there are different things that you can look at. If you have really light colored leaves, too little, get a soil test and a good one. Don't get me wrong, these quick ones are great. Like we have like the rapid tests. Those are great if you're like in a bind. But if you're doing one of those, you also need to be sending out a real soil sample to your extension office or often your county will do it, at least in our area. So send it to someone. Christina, you made it, but we're leaving soon. Welcome. It's good to have you. Do you direct sow muscadine grapes after cold strat? That's going to be one we're going to have to look up because I've only ever started my own grapes from plants. I've never done it from seed. Has anyone grown grapes from seed? Hi, Chicken Patty. I don't think I got to say hello to you. Randy, you are late? Okay, Randy, I have a quick 2-second story for you. Randy is my houseplant guy, and he's been with us since the beginning, And I know he misses Kirsten as much as I do. She was my houseplant connoisseur. She knew it all. I learned so much from her. She took a new job, and I miss her dearly. But I had a friend give me this giant monstera. Beautiful. It's beautiful fenestrations. It was just beautiful. Giant monstera. Right at the beginning of winter. And it was in a very heavy pot. I asked my husband, and I was like, go get that, and get it from the car, bring it in the house. And he did not. And he left it outside. And I was heartbroken. He brings it in. I was like, you literally killed this beautiful plant. And just, so sad. Because it was so good. It had 30 leaves on it. It was huge. And I just let it die back. Mainly because I was sad. And eventually I went and I cut it all off. I had like 15 new leaves at once growing out. That thing is a champ. It's huge and luscious again in months. It's good. Yeah. I'll have to send you a picture, Randy. Quote. That's a good question. How do I do a soil test with 15 plus beds? Excuse me. Are they raised beds? Did you fill your beds? Because if you did, most often it'll be pretty similar across your beds. And then if they're in-ground beds, I would do them in a couple different spots. I wouldn't do every bed. But if you have like a plot and you have like in-ground raised beds like I have, they're built up, but they are in ground. They're not in containers. I'll typically pick like 4 spots across my field and do that. So you don't have to do every one. You just have to do enough to get a gist. Now, if I were to pull a soil sample, send it in like the back left corner of my property, and they're like, oh, this looks funny, I may rerun a couple more in that area to figure out how far I need to treat or amend, right? But I wouldn't... You don't need to do every bed. I hope that makes sense. Where else can we go to geek out on the joys of plants? YouTube. Everywhere. It's good. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok's coming around. I mean, it's starting. If I need a laugh with like the theme of plants and growing things, I go to TikTok. If I need quick info, I go to Instagram. Because it's like straight to the point, right? And I can learn so much in just a quick post. If I'm just there to relax and I want to be surrounded by people who love gardening as much as I do and growing food, I go to YouTube. So it depends on my mood where I go. Occupy, we've talked about onions. So yeah, they need some sort of stratification. Whether you do the 4 days in your freezer in a container so they don't get wet, you could do that. You can winter sow them. Great option. Remember, you don't have to use a milk jug to winter sow. Someone said this to me on Instagram, and I had an epiphany. I was like, whoa, why didn't I think of this? You can use a plug tray and a humidity dome, and you just tape it down, right? Same concept. I would put it in a bottom tray just to keep that soil maybe a little warmer, but you don't have to use mugs. All right, we're checking this out. North Star, you're so nice for plugging me. That was nice. Yeah, if you want to come follow me on Instagram, I'm finally getting back up and running. As you know, I was down for 6 weeks, and I'm finally feeling like myself again. And I have thousands upon thousands of seeds to start in many ways: soil blocking, in trays, just widespread. I'll be doing winter, so I do it all. Yeah, you can come follow along. That'd be real cool. Again, didn't notify. Good evening. Chris. Chris, what I'd probably do, maybe, I wonder if it ran an update or something. I don't even want to talk about technology updates because it just took my phone out. But I wonder if you unsubscribed and resubscribed just to kind of refresh it. I would try that first. See if that would work. Sorry, Chris, we missed you today. Yeah. My phone I have an iPhone. It wanted to run an update on Saturday. And I say no. I always wait a month because there's bugs and it does something silly to my phone every time. And it decided to run it anyways. And I was like, well, here we are. And come Sunday, no phone. It was just black. I couldn't get it turned on. I couldn't get it anything. It was just... So, I now have a new phone. Yeah, that's there. Wicked awesome gardening. I'm glad. Give me the push. My issue with videos of doing my own... I know we're kind of off topic now, but we're finishing up. They said they want to see more of my videos on my channel. Because I do. I have a channel. I have like one video up. And I think... and it's all good and well. My problem is time. Like sometimes when I'm doing things, I'm like, I have 2 seconds. I need to get this done and I need to go, and then I don't set the camera up, and I need to get better and like hold myself accountable. So thank you. Hold me too. Because I do. I have a lot of good info to share and I want to do that. Though you will see me almost get hit with a board if you happen to go watch that video. I think it was a board. I don't know. I almost got taken out by something. It was the windiest day I shot that video. It was wild. Randy, no one's jinxed me on technical. Can someone give me a round of applause? I technically have not had technical difficulties in months, right? I finally figured this dumb computer out. All right, guys. Well, if you have any more questions, throw them in. I got like a minute. We'll go to 20. So I got 3 minutes, I guess. Unless this family really wants to come inside. I don't know. No, they don't. Hopefully they're going to Kate's. Cool. Thank you, Chicken Patty. Thanks, guys. Oh, those of you who have been with me this long that know my technical difficulties and stuck with me, I appreciate you. My IG name is MIgardengal. MIgardengal. Yeah. And yes, I had that way before I really knew about this channel, I promise. Awesome. How do you protect your plants from wind? I'll take this last question, and then we'll head. Kimberly, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, start from the beginning. It was a good one. Okay, protecting your plants from the wind. You can use barriers. If you're doing some sort of tunnel in any way, if you spent the money on it and you have like hoops and frost cloth and shade cloth, whatever, depending on when you're getting wind. Sandbags are a good way to weigh things down. If you have anything, like if you have, say, some extra rebar, T-post, anything you can put in the ground and put something over it, like if you have a big windstorm coming, it doesn't need to be fancy or paid for. You know, if you have something laying around, make it work for you. And drape an Afghan over it. I talk about it all the time when I had my Graham's Afghans all over my yard during a frost. It'll work, but weigh them down with something. Excuse me. Cool. All right, guys. No, sorry, Christina. I know you just got here. But it was a good one. So I think you should hop to the beginning and check it out. If you haven't, it really is helpful if you guys like these videos. Share them with your friends, especially topics like this, because there's such a big seed starting, plant starting, gardening, homesteading, growing your own food. This community that we have now in this world, not even our country, right? It's all over the world. I'm connected with people in the UK and Australia, all over the world who are hopping on this movement. I don't like to call it a movement. I really don't, because it should just be a way of life to supply for ourselves, in my opinion. But there are so many people out here. So share it around so that way, maybe they don't have to go through the struggles that we've gone through when getting things going, right? We've learned so much over the last few years, or however long you're doing this, that they don't have to recreate the wheel. That's my thing. I don't want to recreate a wheel. I just want to decorate it, right? I'm going to take other people's experiences and I'm going to put my own things into them, take my own knowledge, and decorate the wheel and figure out how I'm going to get it done. So please share it around, like it. It's super awesome. I appreciate you all. I hope you have a wonderful day. And if it is beautiful sunshine and lots of snow, get outside. Even if it's cold, bundle up and enjoy it because today's a beautiful day. All right. Bubba, I hope you have a wonderful day and good for you for grooming your cows. They need it. And you can always come watch us later. So, Bubba, have a wonderful day. All right. I will see you guys next week. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.